Would you trade your Super Bowl championship for the ability to have been drafted in the top 10?
No. Now, because what I do know, one, I would have more guaranteed money, especially back in that time. So that would have been cool. The hard part about answering these questions is your experience actually make you the person that's answering the questions.
Correct.
Right? So my experience is that of an undrafted player. I don't have the experience of being drafted in the top 10. Maybe somebody that was drafted in the top 10 and had a certain amount of money and was treated a certain amount of ways that didn't win the Super Bowl and doesn't know what that feels like. Maybe he's comfortable in saying that he would or wouldn't trade it. I don't know. But for me, no, because it's part of what makes me. It's part of why I am who I am. It's a large part of why I became what I am. I don't think I was cut out. Like I was very comfortable in knowing I wasn't a good enough player to get drafted that high. I thought I was good enough to be drafted, but I knew I wouldn't be drafted that high. But it's the ways that people treat you when you aren't drafted that once you are valued allows you to put that value in perspective.
Correct. Yep.
Right? When people started to say that I was valuable or started to say that I mattered and the Washington contract comes up and you make Adam Archuleta the highest paid safety that's ever played, but you tell me I could come back and be a part of all of that for league minimum, it didn't make me mad. Like my feelings weren't hurt, you know? I was like, oh, that's what they think. Now I got to try to find something else, right? When I go to Pittsburgh and they offered me a contract that I thought I was better than, but they had misdiagnosed something that was with my knee, whatever. And they were like, but we're still going to sign you. Or when they tell me I've earned the spot, but this guy's still going to play. Like all of those things never bothered me because I had been through being told I wasn't good enough. And so when you do win the Super Bowl and you're a big piece of it and the people around there validate you with their praise, with their love, with their actions, like, you keep that in perspective too on how far you've come. Just because I would have been drafted in the top 10 doesn't mean I would have played 13 years.
Right.
Doesn't mean I would have been the captain of 2 different organizations. Doesn't mean that every time we sit down with this show with somebody who worked with me, coached with me, played with me, would have the level of respect they do for me just because I was drafted there. And so, no, I wouldn't change that. I think it would be very cool to have gotten that call at any point. You know, my son Jordan plays now, and I just pray and hope that he gets that opportunity, even if it's Mr. Irrelevant. Because I just remember what it feels like. I remember what it feels like to be standing in my mother's driveway and my father's driveway on the phone with my agent, him hanging up the phone with me, coming back and telling me that we only had one undrafted free agent offer from New York because in that time the Saints, who was my only other call, had found somebody else, right? Or him saying, hey, they're going to offer you, or they're going to give you $1,000 signing bonus and league minimum, you know, and being so embarrassed that when we did all the rookie stuff, lying about it, because nobody knew what I signed with, but just because like the other undrafted free agents, everybody was at least getting like 3,000, you know, like I just remember that embarrassment. But those times I look at and I'm like, man, look how good God is. You know what I'm saying? Like that, like he takes the smallest of us, the weakest of us, sometimes the meekest of us, and he can make us giants. You know what I'm saying? And he could put us in places, man, to where like our actions matter and our voices matter and our feelings matter. And so like to me, man, I just think it's cool that that's my story.
So being undrafted, you've always had this underdog mentality. How has that perspective shaped, you know, your post-career journey and what you're doing now?
Yeah.
And how does that influence your mindset of family and legacy?
I think it makes me effed up in some ways. You know, I think it makes me hard.
Why would you say that?
I think it makes me hard to deal with sometimes, you know, because I have like this mentality a lot. You know, like if you're in with me, you're in with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really would. Like, I would fight for you in a second. And I also think it's effed up that that's my love language.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that like when I really love a person, I tell them, hey man, you get anything, I got you. And I really just mean like if there's like any sort of conflict, I am rocking with
But you
you.
need to know that there.
Yeah, which is bad though, that's the way my mind works. That's how I kind of like quantify love and togetherness. I think it's good in some ways because I think it allows me to work in a way that other people aren't willing to work. Also think it's bad in some ways because it doesn't allow me to enjoy wins the way I should. You know, because I'm always thinking, not necessarily like what's the next shoe to drop, because I'm not a worrier, but I'm always thinking like, we can't settle on that. Like there's something that happens tomorrow, right? Every day is an interview. Like just because today you got this job or today you signed that contract doesn't mean they're gonna honor it tomorrow if you don't work the same way or harder than what you were working before. Or just because they're telling you you aren't something or people are saying you aren't a certain thing, you don't have to prove it to them that you are that thing. Right, and I still have that feeling, you know. It's so funny, like people think I block them on like Twitter and Instagram because they hurt my feelings. I block them so I don't say stupid things, right? Because now I know like I can't fire back at people. And it's not that what you says bothers me, it's that, nah, I actually know the real answer to that question and I'm about to tell you, right? I actually see who you are and I'm about to tell you. Yeah. But you don't always need to do that. But that was like the actions of my life. Oh, you're not big enough. Oh, you're not physical enough. Oh, well, watch me run down here in this alley and show you. Yeah. Like that's how my mind works, right? Or you're not fast enough. Oh, if I'm not fast enough, if I learn angles, if I can have anticipation, if I can read tips and tendencies, I'm actually faster than the fast guy because I know exactly where it's going anyway, and I can put myself in position to do it. And so my life has made me always look for the solution to the negative, but it's also made me think that, unfortunately, everybody should be like I am. Mm-hmm. Like everybody should care as much as I care about everything. Everybody should sacrifice what I'm willing to sacrifice for this. And that's just not the truth, right? And it shouldn't be the truth, and I shouldn't ask people to do that. So I think in some ways, how I am is cool. I think in some ways, it's effed up, but it's life.